Let's start with the drugs for mania and bipolar disorder. Hi, this is Dr. Avinash, and we are going to study one of the most important medicine as far as mania is concerned. Now, in this part, you just have to do lithium carbonate. Okay. The other drugs like sodium valproate, lamotrigine, carbamazepine, olanzapine, risperidone, quetiapine, aripiprazole, they've all been dealt with in different chapters, right? So you don't have to study them again here. Maybe just one read and that's the end of it. Lithium is a monovalent cation. It's Li plus, right? And it was found that in animals, if you give lithium, it is a sedative. And around the same time, we also realized that there is some beneficial effect of lithium on manic patients. Very soon we realized that lithium has to be maintained in a very narrow range of serum concentration, or either there will be no effect or too many side effects. Okay, how does it work? Lithium is a drug of its own kind. It has a prophylactic effect only or even on bipolar manic disorders at dose which has zero CNS effects. Okay, so how does it work as an anti-manic and a mood stabilizing drug? Well, the mechanism of action is not clearly known, but there is the following mechanism that we think is probably how it works. Lithium comes into the body of the patient and it replaces body sodium. So it's present inside and outside the cell equally. Remember, sodium is present more on the outside of the cell, potassium more on the inside. Lithium is present both outside and inside. And it is suggested that because positive ion lithium is present both on the outside and inside, it may affect the ionic fluxes, the way ions cross the neuronal cell membrane, or maybe modify properties of the neuronal cell membrane. Okay. See, this might make sense if lithium was in huge quantities. Lithium in small quantities also can give you the same therapeutic effect. So it's not like you need lithium in the concentration of sodium and potassium. Very little concentration, fantastic effect. So with little concentration, how do you get this equal distribution and affecting ionic fluxes? We are not clear. We also realized that lithium decreases the presynaptic release of noradrenaline and dopamine in the brain, and it does not affect the serotonin release. Okay, so no action on serotonin, only on noradrenaline and dopamine. This probably corrects any imbalance in turnover of monoamines. Again, this is may correct. We don't know whether this really works or not. These two hypotheses do not clarify why lithium has no effect on people not suffering from mania. See, if lithium really only blocks those two and not block this, then even if you and I take lithium, then there should be some action on us, because our dopamine, noradrenaline will not be released, or our ionic fluxes will also be affected, but that does not happen. So a new hypothesis has been put forward. Okay, it is suggested that in the concentration range that we give, therapeutic concentration range, it inhibits hydrolysis of inositol 1-phosphate. This enzyme is called as inositol monophosphatase, breaks inositol 1-phosphate. So what's the big deal? If you don't break inositol 1-phosphate, you don't have a supply of free inositol, and if there's no free inositol, you cannot regenerate membrane phosphatidyl inositides. These membrane phosphatidyl inositides are important source of IP3 inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol, and if these two are not made, then a lot of intracellular actions stop. So it is suggested that hyperactive neurons, like what is present in manic state, they will be affected more because they want inositol more. A normally working cell does not require inositol. So even if lithium blocks this enzyme, it can still get it from extracellular fluid, which is pretty low in concentration, but can get it. The fast ones might not get it. So lithium ignores normally operating receptors, but literally search out and destroy or selectively inhibit or dampen the signal transduction in overactive receptors via this phosphatidyl inositol hydrolysis mechanism. Okay, we also have found a supporting evidence, that is sodium valproate has a similar effect on mania and bipolar disorder, that also is known to decrease the concentration of inositol by inhibiting de novo synthesis. Not this way, but new inositol is not made. Okay, now this IP3 and DAG will have many other signaling molecules. Okay, we are not interested in that. And by this particular mechanism, lithium will have zero effect on normal individuals, no acute change, as well as in bipolar. It's not sedative nor a euphoriant. It's not like somebody will become happy or sad by taking this or sleepy by taking this, but on prolonged administration it stabilizes the mood in bipolar disorder. And if patient is in acute mania, it will gradually suppress the episode, taking 1 to 2 weeks. And if you take it persistently for a long period of time, then cyclical mood changes will be stopped. Okay, now mania patients don't sleep, they are overexcited for everything, right? Their sleep cycle will get restored, not because lithium is a sleep enhancer, it's because the mood is now stabilized, the patient will sleep. Of course, lithium also acts on ADH, inhibits the action of ADH on distal tubules. Antidiuretic hormone causes passage of concentrated urine. Now, the urine will pass will be dilute, and this creates a diabetes insipidus-like state. It also has an insulin-like action on glucose metabolism, which means the blood glucose level will fall. Other actions that we have noticed, which probably might contribute to side effects, would be the WBC count is increased, or it inhibits release of thyroid hormones. So, feedback stimulation happens. So a little goiter-like things will happen. So even though people will be compensated euthyroid, they have normal T3 and T4, but that is because the pituitary is working too much, compensated by pituitary's overworking, pituitary making extra TSH. But again, some people's pituitary might not work, and finally the patient will become hypothyroid. So these are actions. You don't have to do the pharmacokinetics. Okay, you can directly jump to adverse effects. There are tolerable side effects, most of them. Toxicity will only happen if you go above the therapeutic range, and remember, this is a narrow therapeutic range, which means you go slightly above the normal concentration, allowed concentration, you will get mega side effects. Something that starts as normal is nausea, vomiting and mild diarrhea, but you start at lower doses and gradually increase, this will also not happen. Because of diabetes insipidus-like condition, thirst and polyuria, fine tremors may appear, and CNS toxicities may manifest. Okay, this will manifest as not fine but coarse tremors, giddiness, ataxia, that's loss of balance, motor incoordination, patient will not be able to do any work properly, his eyes will have jerky movements, nystagmus, there will be mental confusion, slurred speech and hyperreflexia. Okay, when the plasma concentration is about 2 milli equivalents per liter, MCQ, that's when you get overdose symptoms. This time much more severe tremors, this is called as muscle twitching, drowsiness, delirium, coma, convulsions. That is the sequence. Okay, other things that happen is vomiting, diarrhea, albuminuria, albumin getting out in urine, hypotension, cardiac arrhythmias, these may happen. This is symptomatic management. There is no specific antidote. All you can do is promote lithium excretion either by giving osmotic diuretics and soda bicarbonate infusion. If the concentration in the blood serum level is more than 4 milliequivalents per liter, then you can even think hemodialysis, otherwise not required. On long term use, people might get diabetes insipidus, they gain body weight, and as we discussed, goiter. Okay, this is because of interference with release of thyroid hormone. So as T3 T4 levels fall, TSH secretion from the pituitary gland increase, and that is what causes enlargement of the thyroid gland, and that is what people will present to you with. Now remember, the TSH secretion might increase so much that the patient remains euthyroid. His T3 T4 levels will be brought back to normal because of secretion of TSH by pituitary, but some of them can become hypothyroid. Okay. Goiter and hypothyroidism does not mean you stop the therapy. Instead, give thyroxine. Okay. Don't give it in pregnancy. Fetal goiter and other congenital malformations can happen, especially cardiac malformations. So please don't do it. At therapeutic level, lithium can even reduce the T wave amplitude. At higher doses, SA node, AV node conduction will be depressed, and chances of arrhythmia increase. But arrhythmia, it doesn't really happen, and it can cause dermatitis and worsen acne. Simple. So where will we use it? Lithium is used as carbonate salt because it is less hygroscopic and less gastric irritating. Originally lithium chloride was tried. Lithium chloride is very hygroscopic, so that creates a problem. Okay, so there are two main uses, that's it. One is for bipolar disorder and one is for acute mania. Acute mania is inappropriate cheerfulness or irritability. There's motor restlessness, high energy levels, non-stop talking. The thoughts are racing. They can talk any garbage. It might not even make sense. They are just talking, and their thoughts are going from one point to another. There's flight of ideas. They do not need too much of sleep, and progressive loss of contact with reality happens. Sometimes they even have violent behavior. Lithium controls this acute mania. The response is slow to start, and control of plasma level is very difficult during the acute phase. So during this time, most psychiatrists give atypical antipsychotic orally or by IM injection with or without a potent benzodiazepine. And after that comes in control, you start lithium. So start lithium after the episode is under control. Then you give maintenance lithium therapy for 6 to 12 months so that recurrence do not happen. The second use of lithium is bipolar disorder. Proven efficacy, gradually introduced, maintained at a plasma concentration between 0.5 to 0.8 milliequivalents per liter. These treatments lengthen the interval between cycles of mood swing. So patient does not go from mania to depression suddenly. So both mania does not happen and depression does not happen. And at least in 70% people, these things, depression and mania, they are kind of, let's say, tuned down. The volume of mania and depression goes down. It means the patient might get a little depressed, little mania, we call it hypomania, little lesser than hypomania also. Maybe not 100% normal, but yeah, most of them are very well, kind of in the zone. Side effects is the only issue, okay, of lithium. And because of so many side effects, you might even try other drugs now. Simple. And lithium is being used sporadically in many other conditions such as recurrent neuropsychiatric illnesses, cluster headaches, as an adjunct to antidepressants in non-bipolar major depression. Okay, don't do all these topics from here. You have already done that, and hallucinogen should not be done. I hope you have understood this. This is how much you should know from anti-mania and anti-bipolar medications. This is Dr. Avinash signing off for now. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care, keep studying and keep rocking. Bye bye.